Hi, everybody. Welcome to You're the Opera and Power with Gail and
Hi, Gail.
hi, Jane. Today we're going to talk about hearsay. Um, and the reason why we thought about this topic is because there's a number of really bad plays going on in the world um, that a lot of the times we only know about them because they're on TV, they're on the radio, they're in the news, they're on social media, and we're being bombarded. Now, these are actually facts, and we're being bombarded with facts. Remember previously the video we did about Noah's Ark. Right now, we're living that with all these facts being thrown at us. And for those of you that maybe have some legal background, it's all hearsay. And what hearsay is, I don't have the definition from the dictionary, but it's, for me, what hearsay is somebody is saying something about something else, and then it becomes my choice whether or not I believe it. So if it's not part of my experience, then it's not something that I would believe. Having said that, if it becomes part of your experience, then you have accepted it in your consciousness and you will be living whatever that experience is. So it's kind of like cyclical, right?
Yeah,
You're introduced to it, you accept it, then you experience it. And we have a tendency to forget how it works, and that we're like, see, I told you it's true because I just experienced it. Yeah, but that's not the beginning line. That's the ending of the story.
right.
You believed it and you experienced it.
And we also pay attention to I feel like the ones that we're experiencing that we don't want to experience versus the ones we do. And those we just sort of take for granted, but like,
Which is not a bad thing though, because they're
yeah,
natural. Good things
yeah,
that are going on in our life. We don't have to take the time to imagine and change those oranges to apples and stuff, because they just come natural. Because we just know
yeah,
that's how it is.
yes,
Um, and so now, having said the word no, um, can lead us into another little bit of discussion, in the sense that when you're listening to things, let's just use a newspaper or social media, for example, because there's, with all the plays, productions that are going on right now, there's so many of them. We're getting, like I said, bombarded. So, you're reading. It doesn't really matter where you go on social media, you're going to hear something about one of these bad plays that are on. And so as soon as you read something, if you don't consciously say, no, that makes no sense, then you've imagined it and you've accepted it as true. And it's deposited, that belief is, or that acceptance is deposited into your subconscious purse, which means then you will experience it at some point. So, the best one to talk would be that illness that's going around, but I don't want to be taken down from YouTube. So we won't talk about that one. But there's a lot of information going on okay, let's talk about it without identifying it. Then we should be okay. There's a lot of information going on about this, that, it does this, it does that, it's this, it's that, it's not this, it's not that, it's not that. And then there's this other thing that can help, that does this, does that, and does this, and does that. All of these claims by all kinds of people taking on those stories and then passing them on, because they're their story, they're their truth. So me, need to decide what is true for us. And Jane and I were talking earlier, and she was like, well, yeah, and you know what? I did this and this is in response to a situation where, something good was happening, and she just knew, and she didn't have to worry about it because she just knew. And we all have that knowing within of what resonates, what feels right, because we're all connected. We all have it. But the problem is we don't always listen to that and we allow fear to get in the way.
Yes. Fear is the mind killer. Don't they say that?
Oh, maybe.
Something like that. Well, and then I just wanted to mention that we had said that fear not is in the Bible 365 times. So you could say that every day.
Yep.
Every day, repetitively would probably help.
Yeah. Well, you know what? For me, I think I may have mentioned this before when I went through the legal stuff that I went through on my own. Like I was confronted by a load of fear, lots and lots, and like that whole
Yes.
production is based on,
Yes.
you don't want to do it. You need to get somebody to do it because you're not qualified. And then if you decide, well, I'm just going to try it myself anyways, then you're going to get lambasted.
Yeah.
They're going to trigger every piece of fear that you have because they don't want you there. That you're not part of their club.
Yeah.
The point being that I was confronted with a lot of fear at that time. And I was able to sort of release a lot of fear because, especially looking back, I mean, I came out of it better than when I went into it. My situation is different. My experience is not one that I probably would want to go through again, but it was invaluable to me in letting go of a lot of fear.
Fear.
And you have to consciously do that. Fear is not gonna, it's like with all of these stuff, it seems to me that, I mean, you can say affirmations, but I don't think affirmations are going to change the way you feel unless, you spend a lot of time doing them. They're important in that, when you recognize something you don't want and I don't think that way anymore. I think that's an affirmation that's going to be beneficial because it's replacing an old one. So
yes.
From your subconscious perspective, you're removing an orange and putting in an apple, as opposed to, I think a lot of affirmations, when you're like constantly 10,000, 100,000 times, listening to them overnight and stuff like that, they're filling your purse with apples. But what about those oranges? Because the oranges are still there. And so when the situations, when you have your desire, these oranges are still going to come up. So you still need to deal with them.
Yeah, that happened on the weekend for me.
Oh yeah.
I had to deal with them and like honestly, since we've been doing this, it was a lot of it was fear of and then focusing on what I didn't want again. And I very quickly was able to transform that into, oh yeah, these are oranges. And it kind of eliminates a bit of the fear because you, like we've been talking about, subjectively, you're transforming your thinking from out there to in here. So that was the switch. And as soon as I did that, I was able to go, okay, well, what do you want to focus on now? Because that stuff's all oranges. And then another orange would come up and I'd be like, no, still an orange.
Yeah.
So,
well, and what's important about, I mean, there's two things that are important about that whole situation is that you have an understanding. So we called it oranges and apples, just for example's sake, right? To make it sort of easy and non-threatening. Everybody likes an orange and an apple. But if you see all of those things you don't want as oranges, then it's very non-threatening and there's nothing to fear. Just an orange.
And it's also not a narrative. So because it gets tricky if you like, before I would try to kind of rewrite the narrative. And this last time I was like, oh shoot, this is all stuff and I just kept owning it. Oh, this is all your stuff. This is all you. This is you. This is like stuff that you put out there that you no longer think that way. And
when you say you mean
yes, me, sorry. Right. I don't feel that way. And I was like, okay, so what is it what was my intention for all of this too? Because it came from sort of a place of wanting to do something in particular, right? And so I was like, okay, well, instead of focusing on sort of how am I going to make it happen out there, because that's what was happening. So I was like, well, I want that person to come with me and I want it to be like this. And then that was all like, oh no, that's just you wanting, like, what is it that you want? So I went right back to that, and I ended up just doing a bunch of stuff with myself and having a great day. Like I just took all the focus off of what I wanted and went ahead and did what I was thinking about.
Right. So you replace the orange though with an apple.
Yes.
I don't think like that anymore. Now I just had a great time doing XYZ.
And also, like, I didn't do that thing where I would be like, oh, well, I'm doing this because, I'm going to get back at you, or like, because there's that sort of, again, pushing on the thing outside of myself rather than, oh, okay, back to what you were thinking and wanting, get back to the whatever that was. And I don't know, it's almost like your focus it's like getting distracted, I would say. Kind of. Like fear's kind of like fearing something is distracting you from doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like people say, oh, I want to go do this. Well, but this might happen and that might happen. And I hear this all the time. And I always was like, well, of course, you might get run over by a car before you even get there. Like, why are we trying to eliminate? Yeah, we're not. Are we trying to eliminate and create? Well, it's a creation. Like, it's a creative process to create all those fears, right? Instead of creating the idea of what you're actually setting out to do.
Right. Well, and fear, because we come by it honestly. I mean, it becomes a choice though once you understand who you are and the power and how reality works. So my assumption is that for our videos, people are enjoying them because they are focused on wanting to create their own reality. So somebody that can't get past the fear is probably not going to enjoy this video very much. But for the people that are looking to move in their lives, create their reality, an understanding of fear is going to help. The more you understand, that takes so much away from fear. And you have to be careful, because when you are reacting in fear, it's a powerful feeling. And
yes.
And that's why you find that, how did I create that thing? I didn't want that. There's fear is, pushing that along in some way.
Yeah.
You want it. And just the mere fact you didn't want, why?
Yeah.
Well, because that's not something I want. I don't want to experience that. It comes down to fear.
Yeah.
The core root feeling, love and fear.
Well, I feel like fear talks you out of doing the things that you want to do, in a sense. Like, it's almost like, I want to be.
Yes, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because you fear.
Yes.
So you make all these stories that are have fear attached to them and fueling them. And then you create that, and then let's see, told you that was going to happen. But well, you're at the wrong spot of, for your understanding, you're standing at the wrong spot. You stand over here where you understand that you are the one that's creating all of your experiences. and then look at it, because you're going to look at it differently than if you're looking at it from the end where, see, I told you it's going to happen. And I mean, it comes down to also, you can replace fear with faith in self.
Mm.
And that can be a
Oh,
challenge.
I like that.
But you have to, like, for me, it's worked really well. And before I even sort of started this path, I don't know if I've said this story or not, but my one daughter, I unschooled. So from grade 6 on. And back then, because I don't even know, that's what, 15, 20 years ago, I don't know. Back then, there was very few people that were talking about homeschooling. Unschooling was like really, really new. And what that is child-directed learning, basically. So our was wherever she wanted to focus, that's where we focused. We didn't do curriculum. It's kind of, we just, whatever, what do you want to do today? You want to go for a walk? Okay, let's go for a walk. You want to learn this instrument? Okay, let's go and get, rent an instrument and get to know it. Oh, you want to learn about computers? Okay, here's a computer. I couldn't help her with that. So, I mean, I had a lot of people saying to me, like, what do you mean she's not going to school? Well, how's she going to get her piece of paper? And I'm like, well, I could, go to Staples and get a certificate and write my name on it. Like that's going to be her piece of paper, because she's not doing, we're going in this other direction. And I had a lot of people question me. And it took me actually a good year before I worked up the nerve to actually pull her from school. And there was a situation that happened at the school that was kind of the final straw. Like, no, you're coming out. And it didn't have anything to do with her. It actually had to do with my older daughter, oddly enough. So I pulled her. And then, of course, you have to, at that time, you had to get in touch with the principal once a year just to make sure everything is okay. And here in Ontario, all I had to do was just sign that I took responsibility for her education, which was really nice. I had no hassles from anybody. The principal would call me once that once a year, and I'd be like, yeah, she's doing good. Okay, thanks. He did his job. I did my job. Okay. And never from anybody after that, right? But the whole purpose of the story is that, like, it took me a good year to get the nerve up to actually pull her. And then I pulled her, and I had a lot of people saying, like, well, what do you mean she's not? What kind of life is that for her? She needs socializing. She needs this, she needs that, blah, blah, blah. And so my fallback was always, I have faith in her. She's a smart girl. I have faith in her. I mean, in hindsight now, of course, it was faith in me. I was displacing.
Yeah, I was going to say
her.
Faith in you. Yeah.
But it was actually faith in myself.
The both of you.
Yeah, which she's in creating your reality. It's my faith that's
going. Yeah, so I guess that's
successful, right? Because
yes, that's a really,
in my mind, she's going to be successful. And just to finish the story, and then we'll go on to this. But
yeah.
So that was in grade 6. She, in last year, 2 years ago, she graduated from college with a diploma, and then branched over and now has a degree, a university degree, and doesn't have any high school papers or anything like that, except for the School of Life one that I gave her.
I love it. I love that.
But like, my point was that, whenever, because it wasn't like I never felt fear, as the years went on. It got easier as I noticed I was getting no hassles. Nobody was kind of going on at me anymore until we came up to sort of, high school. She'd be finished high school now. What's she going to do? And I just that was my go-to. It's like, what? She's a smart girl. I have faith in her. I guess successful. I don't know what she's going to do, but I know she'll be successful.
I can remember you saying that to me.
Yeah.
Because I had questions. I was like, well, what's that like? What does that entail? And you,
It entails a lot less than you think. We
I
should
know,
sometime. Well, it
and
would only
there's a
take 10
ton
minutes.
of fear around that because I've experienced that when I talk to people about it, and 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 then COVID kind of forced everybody's hand on it and said, okay, now you have to kind of teach your children at home while this is going on, right?
But there's no, like, it was the easiest thing for me because it's just whatever she wanted to do. I didn't
Yeah.
force her to do anything. She wanted to take music lessons. I never said, okay, go study, go do your music. Go.
Yeah.
Really hands off, hands on to be there for what she wanted, where she wanted to focus. Then I would set her up for whatever she wanted to focus on. But I never, you need to do math, you need to do English, you need to do this, you need to do that. Oh, go and practice your instrument. I never did any of that. I didn't have to.
Wow.
He was just doing it. I started, and she ended up really liking the fiddle. And we went to lessons, and the guy's like, wow, I want you to do this song for next time. I know it's going to seem like a lot of work and stuff like that. But no, he's like, I hope it's not hard to get her to practice. I'm like, no, I don't do anything. She wants to practice. This is
So
what
she
wants to do. We're focused.
So
wants to focus. I don't have to do it.
And so her involvement now as an adult, she's individuated, and that's kind of like the ultimate goal is to individuate, like I'm sure you don't have to tell her still, like her
No, well,
self-direction.
that was never my style anyway, so it worked really well.
Yeah.
Because I never liked it. I never liked to be.
And she's really self-driven.
Yeah. Like I don't have
like completely.
Yeah. And she, even when she was younger, she could talk. Because what she would do is she would go on the computer, on the internet, and she'd read something of interest. And then within that article or whatever, there'd be something else that catches her eye. So when she's done that, then she goes and looks up what this other thing was, and then she'd read that.
Right.
So she's like, her vocabulary, while she wasn't reading books and writing stories and that sort of thing, she was getting it that way. When she was interested in being, doing computer stuff. So at the time I'm like, okay, well, make me a website, so she made one from scratch for me. So I got her a book on Dreamweaver or something to learn how to do that. So she read and then she did it. So it was like the reading, the comprehension was all right there with things she was interested in. And then she was hands-on. So she would take that, what she learned, and do it.
Yeah. And when we were in school, it would always happen to us that eventually we'd find something that really interested us and we'd excel at it. We get these great marks. It'd be easy. It wouldn't take any effort to convince you to go home and study it because you'd be so interested, you'd want to, and you'd be rushing to the library to find more information. So it's kind of like, it's the ultimate, I think. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That just kind of hit me just now as we were talking. Like I've always had her focus on, well, what do you want? And because it took probably a good year, maybe even more, to kind of unprogram herself. So she played video games for the year.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. That's what you want to do. That's what you knew it wasn't going to be forever. So I'm just, okay, go for it.
Yeah, her story's great.
Yeah, and I just as I'm telling it and as you're talking, right, I'm thinking like that's all I did was I had her focus on what she wanted. She loved it. She was, she excelled at it. She's extraordinary in playing her fiddle, and she's learned self-taught in other instruments now. And it's all because, I kept her focused on what do you want. I didn't know any of this stuff back then because I sure didn't do it for myself. I never kept myself. I guess in this case I did because what I wanted was opposite to what I didn't want. So I didn't want her unhappy at school. So, okay, what I want her happy.
Yeah.
She was happy. But I mean,
awesome.
I didn't know that's how you're supposed to look at life. But that was like, that's an ongoing success over whatever, 15, 20 years of me just.
I wonder what would happen to like if we could do that in school, have us like self-direction.
It'd be, I mean, they maybe could figure it out. It might be a little bit of a challenge though, because you've got 30 students and one teacher and every
Yeah.
going in all
Yeah, but if they're self-directed, you don't really need a teacher.
right.
Right? The teacher would just be
So
there as a monitor.
You need a school. Well,
you don't even, well, and see, I think online learning is a great evolution too, because well, like we were talking about before, when we went to school, we could go to a library, find one book, if you're lucky on the subject, maybe two, maybe three. We didn't have a source of knowledge that we could just infinite knowledge to go to, you know. I love the computer for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think we had computer. This is really dating us, but I don't even think we had computers when we were in high school. Do we even have them at school? Well, I don't think so.
No, we didn't. No, we did not.
We
graduated in well, we'll date ourselves.
Okay, enough. Don't be giving our ages away.
No, that pretty much says it all. But I listened on the radio today. They were saying that 50-year-olds and up probably don't spend a lot of time on the computer now. Like, and 40 and up, like they were comparing what 40 and up would do and 50 and up would do, and sort of how they fit into the whole social media thing. And
so that's their story.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I got to interact in all ways. I think there's an and for me in all of this. I don't find, like, I would never say I'll never use the computer or not. Like, I think it's an and. Yes, I'll use the computer and I'll meet with people in person, and I will like be expansive in how I think about it.
Yeah. Well,
and not fearful.
You know, just going back to the whole hearsay thing. I mean, that's studies or surveys or whatever, right? To get that.
Yes.
And so how is that, what relevance is that to you? And I'm not talking about you, but like for people in general to think, like, what relevance is that to you? Does it mean anything? Does it make your life different? Do they have significant effect on your life? Are you going to use a computer more because you're over 40 and they say that you're going to use it less because you're over 50 because they say you don't use it? Like, and that's kind of a ridiculous example because it's a shit what they say. Like, it's easy to say this, right? Like, that's how you're spending your money, looking up that stuff.
Sure. Yeah, and it's weird that a lot of our narratives are based on studies, and like, if you notice, like,
hit me, and I think I mentioned this before, but there was a time when, you know, they would talk about, I can't even remember what it was, some kind of a food that, you know what, don't eat this. Oh my God, don't eat this because it gives this and this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I eat that. I'm going to stop eating that.
I know. Yes.
And then a year later, they're like, oh, we did another study and this is actually it doesn't do what we said before.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, you know what, you guys, I'm living my life, doing what I want to do. And ever since, and I got that conviction. I just got so fed up listening to those studies. And a year later, new ones come out that I just got that conviction. Like, you know what? I'll do me. I don't need anything.
Yes.
I'll do me.
Yes.
And that, and again, I didn't know any of this kind of stuff at that time, right? I just knew, like, I was fed up, like, just talk to the hand because I'm sick of listening to you, with all of those kinds of things. And that conviction is even stronger now, but it's such a useful conviction to have, because I don't fall prey to all of the narratives and stories that are out there in the hearsay. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes conscious focus to not
Yeah.
caught up in it, because sometimes we do get caught up in it. But
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, it's all hearsay. Somebody is telling you what something is like, what somebody did, and we don't even know. It's a story, it's a play. We don't even know what the background is. Like, we don't know. If you look at it from a story and a play perspective, like, well, what is the actor like? This is what the actor's portraying, but is that really what the writer was trying to, like, what is the story that the writer really came up with? Or what was the motivation for the story that the writer came up with, right? And
Yeah.
we don't know that.
Yeah.
Know what the hearsay that the actor gives us, and we don't even know what the motivation for the writing in the first place was, because it has nothing to do with us. Here, the only writing we know about is that we do. The only acting we know about is what we do and what we see with the people that are in reality, that are reflecting back to us, our perceptions. And anything other than that is all hearsay.
Yeah, and we get so focused on trying to sift through all those stories and narratives, and that we're taken away from our own subjective, oh, I want this. Like I was saying, like on the weekend, I was going into all this like narrative, and then I was like, oh, that's oranges. And I've been practicing, so
Yeah.
it didn't take me that long. And I did have like some stuff there that, I had to forgive, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I can forgive that, and get back to my story, get back to my, writing my play with my actors, and
Yeah.
my intention, and what do I want. And I came up with a great plan for myself the next day, and I had a great day.
Cool.
So I
Yeah,
was
and it
like,
relates to everything.
everything.
Health, wellness, wealth, every relationships.
Yes.
It's it's expansive. It's all by design, like it needs to be there. And I'm not talking from a conspiracy perspective that it's there, because they're just, the people outside of you are just playing a part in your growth. So it's up to you how you look at it. You experience the crap, or you learn from it and you grow. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And it's not a judgment, and you don't need to be judgmental of yourself. Just recognize.
And you get to enjoy your life too.
Yeah.
Because if you're focused on what you want, and those are your serious wants, and you're getting them, you're a lot happier than being focused on a whole bunch of fear, and you're not getting anything you want. In fact, you don't even have time to think about what you want, because you're
Well, I'll tell you, back when I finally said, okay, I'm done. I'm not listening to studies anymore. I'm living my life. I'm doing me. And even with the legal stuff, when I finally let go of the fear for that, there was like this huge amount of freedom that I felt.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not tied down by that stuff. I don't need about that anymore.
Yeah.
But the legal stuff too. Oh, okay, now I get Caesar's world. Like, I'm free of it now. I'm still here and still following Caesar's rules. But I don't feel confined by them like I did. I'm like, okay,
yes,
whatever, Caesar. No, I don't think that way anymore. This is how I think. That's where I go with it.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? You can't take, no, we got right. I was there. And I'm not criticizing anybody. It's there because
yeah.
But there's just so much more freedom.
Yeah.
That comes with understanding, which allows you to free yourself of fear.
Yes.
And the result of freeing yourself of fear is having faith in yourself.
Yes.
The ultimate.
Yes. Well, also, like, even that, like, for me, it was about like the feeling of freedom that day was just going for a drive and, not focusing on anything negative or anything like that. And yeah, like, and I just kept going to that place. Like, I just kept giving myself that place. Like, no, fear not, fear not, fear not.
Yeah. And little things like that, fear not. Like, you don't really want to identify, and mind you, they did in the Bible, but you don't want to identify, give life to fear, even though it's not. But if you can use it from a place of conviction, in the sense like freedom, I say fear not, but really what I mean is freedom, and use it like that's cool. Like I was doing with in my case, no, I have faith in her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a go-to, or no, that's an orange. Like you have something to go to, non-threatening.
Yes, yes.
And so you don't have to attach emotions and the story to it.
Yes. Okay, I think that's good.
Kind of long.
Yeah.
We were getting so good at being short there, but anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. If you think somebody can benefit from this, please feel free to share it. Please subscribe and like our video, and we'll talk to you soon. See you, Jane.
Bye, Gail. Bye, everyone.